Welcome to the Scoop World Order Spring Ball is here edition. Monday kicked off the first practice of the 2025 Buckeye era. So we're going to get into what we heard about, what we saw, and wasn't much, but there's something to break down. Who was where, who's doing what, who got new numbers. There's a lot of cool stuff to go through that I think a lot of people are interested in. And what does it all mean? We're going to take your questions as well. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell again as we are plowing forward into spring ball coverage. Is going to be fantastic. Now they're actually playing football. A lot of position battles going on. Young team, really good young quarterback. We're excited about. So again, keep it tuned here. Please make sure you guys subscribe to our podcast channel through Apple. If you guys have an iPhone or an iPad, click on the podcast app. Type in Buckeye Scoop. Click subscribe. It's super easy to do. Easy way to help us out. But again, I appreciate you. I'm going to get right to it with Nevada, a lot of, spring ball musings today. Julian Sayin was the first quarterback to take a turn. The offensive line was a little discombobulated with the new guys. Where would you like to start today?
Well, we can start with the quarterback position because obviously that's the one that's the nearest and dearest to everybody's heart. Isn't necessarily so because the importance of QB. I mean, they had Julian out there, with the ones taking the first snap. Does that mean anything? I mean, you go back to last spring, and I think Will Howard was with the threes or something like that. So I wouldn't I wouldn't read too much into the spring order. But what you can read into is what the coaches are saying privately, what the players are saying privately, and what we've seen through the winter from Julian, which is this is a guy that's noticeably bigger. He's noticeably stronger. He's testing stronger, and I think he's the clear favorite. They obviously don't want to lose the backup because the backup right now, if you if you lose Lincoln, it's Tavian St. Clair, which is a true freshman, and that's obviously not an ideal situation to be in. They'd love Lincoln to stay around and provide some depth, and hope they can clear him through the second portal window. If they can't, is it the end of days? Not the end of days, but then you better hope that you're not getting an injury. But no, I mean, it's safe to say you and I are both all in on Julian Sayin and how good he's going to be. I've had the benefit of having watched Julian play. Being his California kid, I've watched him play double digit games, and he's terrific. I mean, he's a terrific quarterback. He is everything you would expect a Southern California quarterback to be. Got just the classic training, just the perfect form, the live arm. He's a guy that you would, somebody that would be a 5-star quarterback, that kind of rating. That's what he is, and he's got kind of that command. You can see he's kind of walking around with that kind of swagger right now, and I think he's kind of commanding that kind of attention from the other guys. So I think he's the man. I think he'll be the man. I think he's going to have a great spring running this Ohio State offense. But look, there's a lot of football to be played between now and the fall, and I'm sure that Ryan's going to be very careful about anointing one guy or another, the starter, the heir apparent, or whatever you want to call it, to the great leadership that we had from Will Howard in 2024. But it's safe to write Julian Sayin in on your bingo cards now because Julian's going to be the man, and he's going to be the man for the next few years, which is really kind of a rare treat here nowadays with the transfer portal. A lot of teams are just kind of going to one and done quarterbacks. I think we're going to be riding the same train for the next few years, and that's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, like I said, with Ryan Day, he's not going to accept mediocre quarterback play, and so when he had a shot to get Julian Sayin, which was he was, just to refresh you guys, like this is the same quarterback class as DJ Langway, Dylan Raiola. Obviously, we ended up with Aaron Nolan, who didn't last very long in Columbus, but he's not going to settle for average QB play, and he's a guy that will work the portal. He'll do whatever it takes to make sure that he's got, and he did it with Julian Sayin. Like he did it for Will Howard. Obviously, did it for Justin Fields. I mean, he's kind of a portal, kind of pioneer type guy that's really done great work. And if a guy's not cutting the mustard, he's not going to stay. And I think Julian is a guy that Bill O'Brien picked him, who's a fantastic quarterback developer, has done a ton in his career. And then, when he was with us for a couple weeks or whatever it was before he went to Boston College, like Nick Saban retires, Julian Sayin hits the portal, Julian ends up here. So it's funny how the world works, because obviously in the Dylan Raiola class, Dylan was the number one player in the country for a large portion of it, and then got passed at the last minute when he didn't have a very good senior year, ends up at Nebraska. And we didn't really recruit Julian Sayin a ton because we had Dylan Raiola committed relatively early. But then all of a sudden, things change, and Dylan gets cold feet. He leaves, and Julian Sayin becomes our guy. And I think that he is, he's got all the tools. He can throw off platform. He's mobile. He's bigger. He's growing into a leader. And again, I love it, because I love talented quarterbacks. If you don't have a great quarterback, you're not going to win anything. And we had a great one last year with Will Howard. I think Julian Sayin, I'm sure, learned a ton from Will Howard in his 1 year. And this is a good segue into what he's got. And he doesn't have to be, Superman. I mean, when you've got Jeremiah and Carnell Tate and Max Clare, like this, you don't have to be, some game wrecker, some guy that has to go put it on the team on your back. You just have to be smart. Don't turn the ball over and throw it to the best players in the country. Like, super easy. So I'm excited about that. The offensive line was about what I projected yesterday, with Austin Seierveld starting off at first team left tackle. I just think that there is a mental, not a mental, there's surely an edict that comes down from Ryan Day and the program and the coaches. And again, this is really smart, that if we bring in a guy on the portal, no matter how much money we give him or how good he is, he's not starting as a starter on day one. It's not going to happen. And again, I like that, because I think that it sends a good message to the incumbent kids that were here last year, the Ian Moores and the, whoever, like whatever position you're talking about. The tight end room is really, the tight end room's strange, because you have Will Kazmarek, you have Bennett Christian, you have Jelani Thurman, and those guys ran with the ones and the twos today. And you have Max Clare, who's, the preseason All-American, running with the threes, which again, totally fine. They did that with Will Howard last year. They did it with Josh Simmons 2 years ago, where he was running with the threes, and you got to work your way up. But I like it because, it's, in the era of the immediate ability to transfer portal out and go, and not just portal out, but go make a bunch of money elsewhere, it gives these kids a real thought of competition, where in reality, I don't really think there is one. Like, I'm short of an injury or him just eating himself out of the job. Like, Ethan O'Neal is going to be our starting left tackle. Like, they paid him a fortune to be our left tackle. He's going to be our left tackle, but today he was our second team left tackle. And again, I think that a lot of that is really good. I think it's really smart by Ryan. I think that the way the coaches have managed these guys that transfer in, it's really it's smart. Because again, if you're one of these guys competing for a job like an Ian Moore, and you start off as the second teamer, and Philip Daniels, and again, I don't I guarantee you that Philip Daniels is learning the playbook and day one install, and probably making some mental errors, because that's how it happens when you go to a new spot first day of practice. If he was making mental errors out there with the first team, like, it's pretty noticeable. And I think that it's something that would give Ian Moore some pause about his future here. But if you put him with the twos, it's a whole different ball of wax. So I think that the way they manage the portal stuff, the portal stuff is so unbelievable from a mental standpoint for these kids. And again, some of the coaches, like Keenan Bailey, mentioned how, when Max Clare reached out, he didn't want him to come watch practice during the drive for the title. He said he'd meet with him after practice. He'd meet with him in the Woody after everybody goes home. He didn't want there to be distraction. I think that's genius. And I think that that's something that, when you've got a bunch of kids that are driving towards a national championship or a playoff, like, you don't want to have some kid who's better than them on the sideline at practice who could take their spot next year, when, Bennett Christian has to worry about blocking Oregon or blocking Texas. And you're like, well, you've got Max Clare watching our drills. Like, that's a a mind. I don't want to say the word, but it's a mind screw. It screws your mind up a little bit if you're like, well, do I really have a shot next year? Or are you bringing in these guys? And sure, it's gonna be a lot of those guys were able to get here in January and actually practice, which I thought was one of the most beneficial things in the history of college football. The fact that these guys like Ethan Onyanwa could run scout team tackle versus Jack Sawyer and JT, and get used to the pace of practice. What does greatness look like? Like when you're practicing with the teams about to win a national title, like you get a great idea of what it's supposed to look like, as opposed to if today was your first practice and you don't really know. Like you're out there and I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Like for these guys, it was almost like this was like their third week of spring ball instead of their first day. And again, I think that's hugely advantageous, hugely beneficial. I think for some of the guys, it might have been a little heavy. It was probably a shell shock, and they're like, "I better get in shape and get on the treadmill and put down the fork." But yeah, like I said, I love spring practice, and I love when there's a team like this where there are so many open jobs and there's um, so many combinations you have to figure out as to who plays where, how much do they play. So many young guys that are trying to chomp at the bit and kind of make their name after waiting their turn. This is one of the more exciting and intriguing spring balls, and last year was too, because obviously when you had Caleb Downs and Will Howard, it's going to be exciting. But this is a different type of excitement, just because I think that it's so new, and I'm sure that Ryan Day was shocked a little bit when you walk out there and all of a sudden you don't have a lot of the backbone of last year's team there anymore. It's kind of stunning, kind of surprising, and like I lived that in 2003 when we lost all those incredible seniors that beat the Miami Hurricanes. Then we walked out to the field in 2004 and it was a whole new, I mean, it's like a whole new team, basically a whole new, there were a couple guys that were holdovers, but not many. Dustin Fox and Simon Frazier and Mike Nugent. And it's kind of it. Everybody else was brand new. So just one of those deals. Nevada, what were some of your takeaways from what you heard today? There were some jersey number switches that are always interesting to me, because anytime I see Jermaine Matthews get a single digit, then that means he had a good winter and he did the right things. And so he's down to number 7 now. And Arvell's wearing number 8 now. They're expecting big things out of him. What are some other things that stood out to you today from spring practice?
Well, I mean, Ryan Day, preaching the whole flexibility on the offensive line. And you had mentioned Austin as a potential, first day starter at left tackle, and yeah, they're going to try to make these transfers kind of come in and earn the spots, which is a really, really intelligent handling of the transfer portal. For the offensive linemen, I'm sure those guys all saw what Donnie Jackson did last year, going from guard out to tackle, and how that actually enhanced his draft stock. It might have moved him into the first round. And, I'm sure they want to try to emulate that. They want to try to get those guys, Austin and Luke Integra, moved around the offensive line. So heaven forbid we need to move some guys, that they're in a position to do that. And I think that's something that they've kind of picked up on. But obviously our guy Ian Moore, who was one of the names that we've been hearing over the winter, started at right tackle on day one. Again, doesn't mean anything, but it kind of means something, kind of like your single digit number thing. It just shows that they think highly of you. You had a good winter. You're putting yourself in a position to contribute, and I think you will. And for Ryan, I think this is he was asked the question, I don't remember by which reporter, about just hey, you seem more relaxed, and he's like, it's because I am. I'm way more relaxed. It's been one of the great reversals of fortune in college football history, let alone Ohio State history, where now we've got Ryan Day with the weight of the world off his back, and now he can be the best Ryan Day that he can be here, instead of gripping and chasing it and being the best head coach that's never won a national championship, He's taken that off, and he's got really nothing more to prove here at Ohio State. He's here because he wants to be, not because he needs to be. And I think I'm really interested in seeing that version of Ryan Day coach this 2025 team, because I think I think the difference is going to be noticeable, and that'll be fun. There were Matt Patricia being out of the NFL, being back into an instruction role. I think that's really good for him too. I know he's, the word from people close to him, he's really enjoying it so far being here at Ohio State. And I know having, it's a young group, but it's a talented group of kids that he's got to coordinate. And I'm sure he's excited about that challenge as well. So, yeah, no, it's, lots of, the first day of camp, this is going to be a spring that's unlike most spring. Most springs are 5 weeks of practice. They're going to do it all in 4 because of how late the season ran. So I guess they're going 4 days a week. I want to say it's like either Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, whatever it is. But they're going to be going 4 days a week for 4 weeks, and trying to obviously culminate with a spring showcase. Not exactly sure what that's going to look like, but we're going to find out a lot about this team because they have questions and they need to get answers from it. Specifically, we've got a really young defensive line with a lot of question marks, a lot of talent, a lot of question marks. And as you noted, you've got that quarterback position where we need to see it out of Julian. This is Julian's time. This is his moment to kind of grab the gold ring and kind of run with it. And I think he's going to do it. But I can't wait for him to put on pads. I know they're going to have a few days of acclimation while we're giving you your affirmation. They're going to be doing acclimation. So, Kirk, I want to give you a little affirmation. Kirk, you're a very handsome, very, very cuddly, very kind guy. So I want to pass that on to you today.
Very angry, very
angry.
I couldn't imagine many things that would be more boring than watching a team practice without pads on, but that's
oh boy.
I'm talking about, like, you want to talk about dull. Like, I mean, watching guys like do team takeoff. Team takeoff's the drill. It's like they line up in formation against the air and they run a play and everybody runs down the field, and it's like a conditioning drill. And I was like, the funny thing about coaches like Ryan Day and these guys that make the scripts, and they know when the media is out on the field, so they're gonna say, what are the dullest things we could possibly do while they're out here? And it's like, let's do team takeoff, pat and go, and let's do assignment check versus trash cans. And I'm like, whoo, man, I'd love to gas my car up and go watch that. That'd be amazing. So like I said, it's good to see some of these guys moving around. I think it's a very safe bet to buy stock in CJ Hicks at this point. So I think CJ is going to be, there's just not a lot in front of him to get on the field and really become a factor as a pass rusher, which I think is something that was his best trait when he was at linebacker, is when they would blitz him and he would, he was a fantastic blitzer. I mean, he's a guy that makes a lot of tackles for loss, a lot of disruption in the backfield. He's a chore for a running back to block one-on-one. So why not let him do that all the time and play defensive end, which is what he's doing. So I think that'll be interesting. I think that, you can kind of tell by Ryan, they brought up Ethan was like 357 or 350. I mean, he's big. And again, some people can carry that, but not, I mean, I don't know if I can't remember the last time. Maybe we had, I think Steve Ring was up there, but we haven't had many guys that were that big that played it. And during Ryan's tenure, I don't think anyone's even close to that. So he's going to get that whittled down in short order, I'm sure. And Philip Daniels the same way. Those guys could both tighten up a little bit. But I like the ability of the line. I think that it's shrewd to start Austin as a starting left tackle as of day one, just because you've got 4 starters. And just mentally, I'm just telling you, you have to look at everything through the lens of the transfer portal. Like, when you see what backup offensive linemen that didn't play are worth on the open market, like what would one of those 3 rotational guards be worth between Luke and Austin and Tegra? So what's a quick and easy solution? Well, let's figure out a way to start all 4 of them on the first day, and they all feel good and they all feel like starters. Because again, there is a different mentality, a different morale, a different whatever when you're the starter, when you're put in huddle 1 versus if you're not. And so that's why you see a lot of rotation between like Malik Hartford and Jalen McClain in between drills. Like one will be with the first team one drill and one will be the first team the next drill. Like that's all by design, because if you just have Malik Hartford go with the ones the whole day, then Jalen McClain's like, I don't really have a shot. This isn't a real competition. The fix is in. Again, when you're one of these young guys, every possible thing goes through your head if you're not getting your reps with the ones, or you're not getting the reps that you want, or the turns, or whatever. But I love the way that they're handling this. I think that this is going to be a competitive spring ball. And again, when they do some scrimmaging stuff, it'll be fascinating to see how kind of this new front matches up versus this kind of new offensive line. The new defensive front, I think, is going to be really fascinating because we've got some exceptionally, like, I don't know if there's a more talented pair of defensive tackles in the country than the two guys we got. I mean, Cade McDonald and Edric Houston those are dudes. Those are guys that, like, if you got to block them, like, you better eat your Wheaties. And now our edge guys, I think they're good, but are they great? Well, we're going to find out because those are two guys that have wanted to play more with Kenyatta, Jackson, and Caden Curry. But can they really hold up for the full, I guess the full serving of snaps? Because again, like, I mean, with Jack and JT, it's not just about rushing the pass; it's about stopping the run, and that's where those guys were both deficient. And now they're going to have to be run stoppers because Jack and JT can't save you on first and second down anymore. So I think that's going to be one of the things that you got to really zone in on spring ball. I think our linebackers are going to be really good. I mean, with Arvell and Sonny starting next to each other, like, those are two humongous freakazoid linebackers that I think we're going to need them to play at levels higher than they did last year, especially Sonny, because he's the guy that's the returner. I mean, Caleb Dow's going to be looking from the back end and seeing Sonny and saying, thank God he didn't go pro, because if he would have gone pro, it's like all new guys in front of me. So at least he has one guy that he recognizes in front of him. But, our corners are going to be ferocious. And I think that nickel spot is going to be really interesting to see what they do with moving Jermaine Matthews around, with Bryce West. Lorenzo Salas Jr. started off there, which I predicted correctly yesterday. But that'll be competitive. And there's, again, when those guys get into year two, like Bryce West and Aaron Scott, like, it's time to get rolling. I mean, this is like, they get that itch and they're just like, it's time to get on the field and start building that name and start rolling. And these guys got a big shot to do it. Nevada, what else stood out to you today? Because again, it's different when there's just not a lot of intel. Plus, like, they don't, when you don't have pads on, you kind of, you could do some team stuff, go against the defense, but it's hard because for the linemen, especially the offensive and defensive linemen, it's hard to figure out how hard should I block a guy if we're not in pads, because again, that's a danger where if guys aren't in their knee braces and you throw someone on the ground to the side of someone's knee, it could be treacherous, or you could get a guy could ding his shoulder if you're trying to do a running play and they just have shells on. Also dangerous, but it's a reason why I don't like when we played back in the day with Trez, like, we never went against each other when we were just in like this type of attack. Now when we put the gear on, it was full bore kill each other. What else or who else stood out to you today?
Well, the CJ Hicks thing is really, I mean, one, he's a massive kid. I mean, he's a big boy, man. He's gonna I think he's gonna be a problem. I think he's gonna be a problem for a lot of those backs that try to block him, a lot of those tight ends that try to block him. Him coming off the edge, I think that's going to be something that Matt Patricia is really going to try to feature. And I'm predicting big things for him. And your points about Kenyatta and Caden are so spot on, because last year they weren't good against the run. When the teams ran against them, they ran pretty much with impunity. I mean, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't some coaching malpractice or whatever it was that JT and Jack played so much, almost to a fault. We would sit there and go, I've never seen a game where the two defensive ends never took a break and played the entire game. Well, the reason was because the backups weren't there, and that's not trying to be Mr. Mean, but that's where you're at. So Kenyatta and Caden have to level up, and can they? Sure. Will they? We'll see. Do I think they can? Absolutely. But I think having CJ to provide a different element there on the outside is good. But we really need the defense is only going to be as good as Kenyatta and Caden, because I agree with you. I think the interior guys are young but super talented. The linebackers are going to be great. Davison and Jermaine and Malik Hartford and Caleb and Jalen McClain and Devon Sanchez. I mean, we're going to be fine on the back end. Saw an interesting stat that last year our defense had 38 penalties called on it for the season. 38 penalties. 16 of those were on Davison. So Davison had 16. The rest of the team had 22. So that's you got to get that fixed. I'm sure that that's going to be a coaching point for him. You love the aggression and everything, but literally 16 penalties, which is kind of crazy, but lots of stuff to work on. But I don't know about you. Like you're always saying, I can't pick stuff over. I saw stuff today. Like I saw one of the great runs of all time in
Oh
college
my
football history today,
God.
and
Such an
I can't
idiot.
believe that you, as the old All American, you're like I played football, I coach, I this and that you couldn't see the greatness from this run because people on the internet saw this run, recognized the greatness, and were complimenting on it, and I can't believe you missed it.
This is so dumb, but I'm gonna put it on for you so you can expound upon it. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready
You
to
got your
go.
mind right? You ready to go?
Uh,
Okay, here we
my
go.
my my mind is
Here,
right.
here it
Like
comes.
the ball's going to be snapped, and they're snapping, and
Boom.
they're all walking. Look at that. Look at that. And can you run that backwards? Can you run that back?
Oh,
Look at
I'd
look
love
at him.
to.
Look at him come through. He gets the ball, and then he runs.
On
And
air.
then, imagine that there's like two linebackers there, and they're ready to get him, and he just splits the two of them. Look up through. Look at that. That's
And
amazing.
he hands the ball to the official like Jim Tressel's like got a tear in his eye right now.
He does. He kind of
He
flips the
hands the
ball
ball
to
to the
him.
official.
I mean,
Philip Daniels
look,
at right tackle. He doesn't
I,
know if he wants to get a 3-point or stay lazy and stay up in a 2-point. So
I
he's like,
saw
watch.
a lot of comments on the internet talking about how C.J. Donaldson looks the part and he looks great and this and that, and it was really based upon this run that you guys are witnessing right now. And so Barton, the big cuddly bear can't see it, but Nevadabuck can see it, man. I can look at this and I understand what the internet's talking about right now.
I
I know.
mean, this is what like you show up like this is what we get to watch. Team takeoff. This is amazing. I'm like,
Uh,
Ryan Day's gonna just die. He's like, we're gonna let. Here's the deal. We're gonna let him into practice for the first hour, okay? And we're gonna let him video stuff. What are we gonna do? Let's do team takeoff, aka plays on air. Look at this. It's like
just going.
you want me to get out of bed and come down and watch this? Oh man. Woo! Like, oh my god. It's like, can I just stand outside the building and just paint the building for you and like use a big roller instead? Like,
CJ just doing work, man. CJ averaging about 15 yards a carry today, and flipping the ball out there, doing the thing. It's just it was so yeah. That was the internet is undefeated in 2025. There's absolutely no question about it, and you do glean some great little nuggets of wonderfulness sometimes to the internet. That clip will live forever for Ohio State. The burst of C.J.
oh my
Donaldson,
god.
and we all got to share it together, and that was kind of fun.
So the genesis of all the stupidity that you guys have to listen to for the last 3 minutes about Nevada journeying on is the fact that I sent him that clip and I was like, well, at least, he looks okay. I mean, he's not Trey or Quinshawn, but he's like the Diet Coke version of it. Maybe. And Nevada is like, why did you send me this? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I mean, he's at least moving. Like, I mean, we went from the best running back duo in the history of the program to, CJ Donaldson, who I think has a chance to be good based upon real film. And then, and James. And I think James Peoples will be good too. But are they going to be as good as the guys last year? There's no way. But this turned into like a 20-minute diatribe on the phone about, wow, Kirk, he looks so amazing. He looks exceptional. Wow. Like, you have such a great eye for talent. You're so smart. You're so good at what you do. And I'm just like, and like the stuff I said, I'm not, because we have kids and people that watch this that don't appreciate it, but it's like the stuff I said, I'm just like, all right, I get it. Like, it was a stupid clip. I get it. But I was just kind of like saying, I was like, I could imagine like driving to go watch that. Let's watch team takeoff. And then as soon as they do it at the intersection, like, all right, everybody off the field, clear, put the cameras away. And Like, oh my god, I got to watch Team Takeoff today and stretch period. Woo!
They had
Yeah.
him see he gets tripped up at the line, falls on his face going through the line or something like that. And
Tears
you're like,
his Achilles tendon, tears his patellar tendon, like screaming during
you're
his
like, no,
first handoff
nope.
on Team Takeoff. Nope.
CJ Donaldson does not look good today. Does not
He
look good at
does.
all.
He might not be the guy. He
uh,
tore it in a non-contact.
he looks
Um,
the part. He looks the part.
Guy who
Oh my
does
god.
look good though is Devon Sanchez. Who, those of you that don't know, Devon and Nevadabuck have matching calf tattoos. So
That's true. That's
Devon,
true.
Devon is gonna start at some point. He's gonna start somewhere because he is a freakazoid looking dude. But yeah, I'm excited to see him. I think he's got a lot of upside. Obviously, he's the best defensive player in the country in the recruiting class. Nevada, what could he do this year? Because he's a guy that I think has got to get out there. You got to play him early. He got a boatload of money. He didn't get quite JJ, but he got close to JJ money as a freshman, which is, again, I think the more that I know and the more I hear about what these kids are getting and deals, like they make sense. But then you can also follow the tea leaves as of what's expected as their year shows up. And this kid's going to play a lot. And I would be stunned if he didn't end up starting a game this year, at least one. But what are your thoughts on Devon Sanchez? Because this kid is he's too good to keep off the field. And dare I say that Scoop had it first.
Yeah, no, I mean he's fabulous. I mean he's a great. Obviously, he'll be a special teams demon. I'm sure they'll try to get him at the dime or the nickel. If somebody gets banged up, you definitely could get a start. But he's supremely talented. He's a great player and a great kid. He's everything you want in a Buckeye, and he's the type of guy that you want as kind of a foundational piece, a leader of the defense. The other kids gravitate to him. The other recruits gravitate to him. You know, kind of a de facto leader of the incoming recruiting class. And yeah, he's fabulous talent, man. I mean, he's so good. And with defensive backs, you can play as a freshman. Defensive backs, while you need to understand the coverages and everything else, you can pretty much throw some of those guys out there and just say, hey, just guard this guy. And Devin can do that in abundance. I mean, he is tall and rangy and long arms, and just super fast. Can run with the fastest guys out in the field. Tough as nails. Can support and tackling. And he's going to be great. Not just good. He's going to be great at Ohio State. My only question is just how quickly are they going to get him on there, because there's a lot of talent in that defensive backfield. A lot of experienced talent. A lot of guys that are waiting their turn. But none of them more talented than Devon Sanchez. He's going to be a special player by the time he's gone at Ohio State. And I can't wait to see him on the field.
Yeah, and on Twitter at Ohio State Football fan page, made this incredible compilation of Julian Sayin throws, which again, cannot wait to watch these throwing on air.
What was it? Look at that! Look at that! Look at that!
I mean, he gets rid of the ball quick.
He got the ball. He got the ball in his hands, and then he threw it. See, look, another one, second great throw. Look at that. Oh, got it. Oh, look at up. Throwing it.
Oh,
perfect.
And JJ caught it. JJ's like fully kitted out with the swag.
Throw. Perfect.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just there's Ennis in his one. Again, like, I mean, come on, like, what's better than that? Routes on air.
There's nothing. There's nothing better. No, I mean, honestly, the moment you sent me the CJ Donaldson clip, man, I'm sold, man. I was like, I'm on the CJ Donaldson train now that I got the clip from Barton showing me how great.
Now that you saw him running up the A gap with literally nobody on the field, you're just like, it's now a wrap.
It's not.
But I mean, I think he's going to be. What are your realistic projections for CJ Donaldson? I mean, and James Willis, because again, like we had 2,000-yard running backs last year, and it's like, I mean, Quinshon's was incredible, and obviously Trey was what Trey was. But it's like, what are your realistic projections for these guys? Because again, it's a whole new ball of wax, and plus you don't have the running threat that you had with Will Howard. Like Will Howard was. Again, his legs won us games. They closed out games. I can't see them doing that with Julian. But what are your thoughts on what to project out of these two running backs?
Well, I think the biggest thing
versus real players, not just on air.
Yeah, no. The biggest thing to me is the fact that Chip Kelly's not there. Chip Kelly is one of the great running game concept offensive coordinators that's ever been. And I think not having him, I just don't see how the running game doesn't take a step back. Let alone not having Quinshawn and Trey, two the first couple of rounds in the NFL types of talents. So I think I am as high can be on James Peoples. I'm not quite as high on C.J. Donaldson as Barton is, but I think he'll be okay. I mean, I'm just wondering, is C.J. is he Chip Trainum? That's what I'm wondering. Is he Chip Trainum or is he Quinshawn Light? I hope he's Quinshawn Light. I'm worried he might be Chip Trainum, but I'm all in a James. I think James Peoples is J.K. Dobbins J.K. all day, and we'll take another J.K. Dobbins because he was a pretty good college football player and great kid, great player at Ohio State, and I really think James Peoples is that guy.
Do you need me to show you that clip again on CJ or no? Do you see it one more time?
No, maybe one more time.
The burst through the hole on air.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. Well, because you kind of can't see him. You kind of can't see him when the play starts, and then all of a sudden he just bursts onto the play.
Well, he's like a cannonball.
He's got a hidden
cannonball coming out of the cannon.
You can't even find him now. If I asked you to find him right now and circle him, you couldn't even circle him. He's so hidden, and then he just explodes through the line. No,
but then he takes that little side step and runs tight zone, and you're just
look at that!
Wow! I mean, you want to talk about just explosion and greatness. And I like Philip Daniels because he's like Philip Daniels is great because he's new, but he started some games, so he has to point at air. He's pointing at the air. Watch, point, make your call, even though there's nobody there, pointing at the ghost. And he gets in his little 2-point, and then he takes like a little step, and then you watch C.J. Donaldson, just pure greatness out of the backfield. So I'm just like,
I can't wait till the next time you send me one of these clips, man, because I'm just going to be like, hey, I'm watching every single. You're like my wife. My wife sends me clips all the time, and she's like, hey, did you watch that clip I sent you? And I'm like, no, I did not watch the clip that you sent me. I just,
so you'll be unprepared for the show just because you're going to be like that. You're going to be like, I don't know what that is.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not watch that clip, but your clips, I'm going to watch them from now on, man, because. I mean, I would have cheated. I would have cheated myself had I not watched that C.J. Donaldson clip.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to set you up for success.
I appreciate it.
And it's hard sometimes when you can't even check your text messages because you're too busy gambling on Indian soccer friendlies, the Pakistani Junior Euro League. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, this is true.
But yeah, I'm excited because, like I said, these practices are ones that these guys wish they didn't have to do because they're so boring, but it is good to get guys to kind of know what the drills look like and get them in the right place. And that, some guys have to learn the cadence, and the cadence is just when the quarterback says like white 80, set hut or whatever. Like, I mean, the new guys will have to learn that. So that's the point of having these dull practices with no pads on. But for linemen, these things are just like, can we get to the real stuff, and actually hit each other? Because then there's no more, well, he went a little harder than I did, and I was worried about hurting him. And once you put the pads on, it's all over. Then it's this full on warfare. And again, I like Ryan Day. And again, I don't like the war analogy thing, but he did say that, spring practice is like a war for some of these positions, man, because if you don't roll into this thing like it's a game every day, then, you can fall behind. And again, these battles are, I mean, they're career altering. If people are like, well, it's just spring practice doesn't matter. Well, I mean, Dwayne Haskins kind of beat out Joe Burrow in spring practice, and the rest is history. Obviously Joe Burrow goes to LSU and becomes a phenom and $500 million quarterback, whatever his extension was. And so again, like these spring battles are huge because you want to have the leg up going into camp and going into summer conditioning. We got a super chat. Any other thoughts, Nevada, as we roll into some super chats?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's an exciting day. I mean, I know the 2025 team, Ryan talked about this also. This is something we had put in a nugget about a week or a week and a half ago. We'd got this from our sources on the team. um, they talked about how this 2025 leadership group came to him and said, it's great that we're recognizing the 2024 national champions. It's great that we're obviously remembering that season, but these guys haven't accomplished anything. And I really think we want to refocus this team to 2025, take down some of that stuff, and really let these guys know that those guys are all gone. All those great, fabulous seniors and upperclassmen are gone, and now it's our time. Now we have to do it. And, Ryan talked about that in the press conference as well. I just think that it's this team has such a different feel to it because of the youth and inexperience. It's making spring football so fascinating and so exciting for me because last year we just didn't have this many question marks, but this year we do, and and we start out the first game of the year against Texas, so no time to catch your breath. So I'm just really excited about spring ball. Glad it's here.
Yeah, and I think that this is a year where you're more excited about guys pushing each other, and to me, I'm less worried about. I mean, you're always kind of worried about guys getting hurt, but like last year, you're just like, okay, let's just get through spring without Jack or JT or Trey or anybody catching a serious injury. But now it's like, I mean, these guys got to go and they got to push it, and I think that getting rid of a lot of the mementos from last year is smart because frankly a lot of these guys didn't have anything to do with it, or they had very little to do with it. Now there's some obviously like guys like Sonny Styles that had huge roles, and guys that were returning starters, and the interior offensive lineman did a great job, but about half the guys that are going to be starters this year really didn't do. I mean, they're role players, and again, that's a thing, but they're not carrying the load the way that a lot of the starters did. So this is what it is. All right, we'll dig into. We got a super chat again. I appreciate you guys, Nick Ma. Again, thank you for the 10. I hope you are doing well. Julian says high school highlights are like Joe Montana's NFL highlights. True story. Let's hope he puts in the work to get to that level. His ability to throw dimes on the move is incredible. Nevada, I mean, we're all in on Julian Sayin. Like, I know they have to fake the competition. There's no competition. Julian's going to be our starter, in my opinion, unless he gets hurt, shoulder falls out of the socket like Braxton or whatever. But Julian's going to be the guy. I mean, he's the guy they went out and got. They jettisoned Air Nolan because they needed to get a guy ready to go, and it's going to happen. So, your thoughts on Julian Sayin, Nevada, as I throw on his highlights that are like Joe Montana?
I mean, it's it's the same style of play. I mean, he's a guy that likes to run. I mean, he's Aaron Rodgers. He likes to run around out there. As he said, he throws really well on the run. That's one of the things. He's not a guy that just needs a clean pocket. Not disparaging him, but he's not Kyle McCord where he just needs to stay in the pocket. I mean, Julian's used to moving around. He's big on the off-platform throws, the throws on the run, and he'll run it. Like I said, and he's not the horse that Will Howard was, but man, if the yards are there, he will absolutely take off and go. And he's smart. He's smart enough to know how to get down, avoid the big hit, get out of bounds. I mean, we talk about this all the time, but Patrick Mahomes, who's the greatest, one of the greatest throwing quarterbacks, if not the greatest throwing quarterback of all time, kills teams with his legs. Absolutely kills teams. I mean, he's had multiple games in his career where he was the leading rusher for their team. So a quarterback that has a quarterback run that's incorporated as part of the game plan, or is willing to take opportunistic shots when the play breaks down, and he's able to break, contain, and run, or present that threat of running. Is just it is absolutely the way that you have to play football in 2025. All the quarterbacks in the NFL, all the best quarterbacks run, all of them, and so Julian can absolutely do that. And I think we talked about it last night, but I think Ryan has kind of got religion on that. He's kind of realized that he probably made a mistake limiting CJ's running ability. And we went 3 years without a rushing TD from our quarterback, and then you have Will Howard come in, and every time there was a big play, on a short yardage, it was a quarterback run every single time, and it never got stopped. Did Will Howard ever get stopped on a fourth down? I can't remember him ever getting stopped on a fourth down. And they, I would imagine they'd continue to do the same thing with Julian Sayin, but different kind of quarterback. But he's fun to watch, man. He can throw it. He can move the ball all over the field, and he sees the whole field. Great processor of information, and a really live arm. So he's going to be a fun quarterback at Ohio State.
Yeah, his his tape's amazing. And I mean, he literally throws blocks on this tape. And I mean, look at him run. I mean, he can scramble, which again, you don't need to be able to scramble until you need to be able to scramble. So by that, I mean, like when you're lead foot, like Kyle McCord, who runs a 5.8 40, it's hard to get away from good pass rushers. If the line isn't perfect, it's over. Where Will Howard could get away from guys. I mean, again, one of the plays of the season was when Will Howard got away from I want to call him Micah Parsons, Abdul Carter, number 11 for Penn State, who I thought was probably the best player in the country last year. Gets away from him and he throws the ball that Jelani caught like 3 times to convert and get us a first down. So I mean, I thought that was something that you don't need that until you need it. And the ability to get away, because again, our pass protection isn't going to be as clean as it was last year, I don't think. We got 2 new tackles. Our interior will be stout. They'll be good. But can Phillip Daniels and Ethan protect at the same rate that Josh Simmons and Donnie and Josh Fryer did? I don't know. Because they're pretty good. I mean, and they were guys that had played a lot of football in the Big Ten and played well and got the job done. And Will Howard got rid of the ball quick. So and again, you see the scrambling. You see him get down and protect himself, which again, I love when quarterbacks slide and they just don't take the hit. They don't need to. They take that free green grass and they make it again. Here he goes. He steps up, he's going, he launches it, drops a dime. Again, like this is what we need to see. So, like I said, with Ryan, he isn't scared to go get a quarterback. He isn't scared to make sure that this room is where he needs it to be. And this kid was the best quarterback in the country 2 years ago, and Dylan Rayola's class. I'd take him over DJ Langway. And I'm excited to see him throw it to JJ. I think it's going to be fantastic. So the kid is going to be special. I got another super chat, Nevada. All right, Michael Davia Lopez, thank you for the 5. Curious what you guys think of Nate Ebner joining the staff. Nevada OH. Nate Ebner joined as a quality control coach for special teams this week or in the recent weeks. Nevada OH. I'll let you go first on that, Nevada.
I love it. I love it. Everything about it. Nate Ebner represents everything that's great about college football. Rugby player that played special teams for Ohio State, and then shock of shocks gets drafted to the New England Patriots. And I think when that happened, not many people had Nate Ebner to be drafted on their bingo card to get drafted literally to play special teams for New England. That's how good he was, how impressive he was. And went on. I don't know how long he played in the NFL, but it was a while. I mean, 8 years, 9 years, 7 years. I mean, whatever it was, he had a lengthy career in the NFL, and I just think I think it's great. I'm just excited that he's back. I think having guys like that around the program can be nothing but additive. So it takes a lot to get me juiced up about these analysts, assistant, whatever you want to call these extra positions beyond the countable 10. But this one was a good one, and I was really excited to see it. So yeah, I'm over the moon about this one.
I mean, he's one of probably the most underrated Ohio State Buckeye ever. I mean, he's the guy that literally was second team All-Pro in the NFL as a special teamer, was the quarterback of the special teams, according to Bill Belichick. I mean, one of the funniest, things ever is, he got picked because of Rabes. Vrabel told Bill Belichick to look at this guy's tape and, and he gets drafted, not a combine invite guy, not a guy that had to do everything the hard way. It was a guy that played rugby and wanted to play football at Ohio State, so he had to walk on. And, something that's interesting is like, the walk-on tryouts, like, everybody wants to walk on at Ohio State. Everyone's, I want my dream to play at Ohio State, whatever. The walk-on tryouts are brutal. They're so hard. They make these kids like run, like the condition, most of them, they don't know what they're getting into. They just say, hey, show up in shape and have your physical form ready and your proof of, being an Ohio State student. But like, I would watch these walk-on tryouts, man. And I was like, God, I don't even know if I'd want to do that. I mean, you guys probably just take my scholarship because I don't want to run the condition. They have to run the conditioning tests. They have to do. They barely do any football drills. They do some, but it's like they do the full combine. They run the 40 and the shuttle and the L drill, and then they have to run the conditioning test, which is brutal. And guys are falling all over the ground, dying because it sucks. The conditioning test is miserable. And then 2 or 3 guys might get a call back. There might be 100 guys that try out, and 2 or 3 make it. Nate was one of the guys that made it, and Nate was in ripper shape because he was, when you play rugby, that is as grueling of a sport as there is because of the amount of conditioning you have to do. Because it's just nonstop running. It's like soccer, except you tackle each other. And it's like you got to run all over the field. And Nate was a world-class rugby player, played in the Olympics for Team USA. And, he was a kid that was on scout team his senior year. I was there. I was a coach. And had just this killer attitude where he just wanted to kill everybody, was a beast. Like, I used to love the kid because he was just and he'd get out on special teams and just murder people on Saturdays. I'm just like a true, legitimate tough guy. And if you guys don't know his story, dealt with incredible tragedy. His dad owned a junkyard. His dad was murdered at the junkyard when he was young. Not young, I think it might have been high school. And Nate would go watch the junkyard with his dad at night. And when people would come in to steal stuff, they'd beat the people up. So, you want to talk about like a tough guy. Like Nate Ebner is like as tough as there's ever been. And he grew up tough and dealt with tragedy. And I hope that he has the greatest coaching career ever. Because again, I love that kid. I think he's a great kid. And again, he was a scout teamer as a senior, and that's not easy to do. And there were guys that weren't anywhere near as good as him that started over him, played over him. If you go back and look at that 2011 team, there's a lot of average guys. And Nate was the guy that should have started, obviously, and was able to start it a little bit at safety for the Patriots. And then obviously it was their best specialty, or one of their best special teams was him and Matthew Slater. But I love it. And I love the synergy with Matt Patricia. Love that. Because like when you get a Patriot guy, bringing another Patriot guy who's an Ohio State guy as well, he's got that, 8 years in the NFL.
10,
that's like
10 years.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that great? Isn't that crazy? 10 years in the NFL.
It's amazing. It's God bless, it has been 10 years. So I guess he's been out for like 3 years then. I can't do math. I was just kind of guessing off the top of my head, but I know that he went to the Giants. But good for him, man. Yeah, he was with the Giants in 20 and 21, was with the Patriots from 12 to 19. So he went with Joe Judge when he went to the Giants, and they tried to do it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy for him. Like guys like that, tough as nails, character. And he's the kind of guy that, like, when you talk to kids that there's a lot of kids, especially at a place like at Ohio State, where these kids are 4 and 5 star kids, that they turn their nose up at special teams. Like, oh, that's B work. I'm not going to swear, but like, it's, that's not for me. And I didn't do that. And I played 7-on-7 football, and, I make TikTok videos, but I don't run down on kickoff, and I don't cover punts, and I don't block punts, and I don't do any of that dirty work because nobody cares. And this is the dude that played 10 years in the league as a special teamer, got 3 Super Bowl rings, made a ton of money too. Like, mind you, he's playing in the NFL. Like, he gets the same, salary that all the other guys get. If he's league minimum or a little bit plus, whatever. So, made a ton of money. So again, he's a guy that, when people say, oh, I don't do special teams, well, Nate Ebner did it, and he made, more money than most of the highly drafted guys or the combine guys or the running backs. And he had a better NFL career than anybody on the 2011 team for sure. So, like I said, I'm just happy for him. Like, good for him. And that's a great hire by Ryan Day. It's a great hire by, if Matt Patricia had any say in there, God bless him. It's great. Because the kid he's an amazing kid. And he's a kid that 99% of Ohio State fans have no clue about at all. So do some research, look up Nate Ebner in your free time, and watch some of the videos that have been made about his life and what the tragedies he went through and how he got to Ohio State, because it's simply like incredible. And I'm just happy for him. So anything to add, Nevada? We got another super chat.
Well, he's also the answer to a trivia question: which Ohio State player has the highest yards per carry in their NFL career? Nate Ebner, 14.
Yeah, but C.J. Donaldson Jr. is going to break that. Did you saw
Oh,
that
I know
run?
that. Oh,
You
I
saw that
know. I know.
run that we
Yeah,
showed on air
I
today?
know. I know you wanted
Easily.
to say that. I literally teed that one right
Oh
up,
yeah.
like in volleyball, like the volleyball
Oh yeah.
setter, like set it right up there for
Yeah.
you. Because I know you're waiting. You're at a little CJ Love. You're ready to go. You're like, oh
I was
yeah,
like, oh yeah. Watch
Wait
this
till CJ
run.
Donaldson.
Watch this run. Wait till he gets to the league. It'll be
I'm
like
like,
Madden on
what? What
rookie
am I
mode.
looking at? What am I looking at?
It's like I just wanted to waste 20 seconds of your life real quick.
Oh my god,
You're
what
like,
am
Kirk,
I
I had
looking
20
at?
seconds of my life. I didn't know what to do with it. Watch this CJ Donaldson run on air. It's amazing. I was just like, I was like,
No,
imagine like
no.
I'm standing there filming that. Oh, let me upload this. This is great. Click upload. It's
This
like,
is gold. This is
ooh, this
gold.
is
This is
gold.
gold.
We might get 600 views on this one on YouTube. This
Oh
will be
my
amazing.
gosh. Oh boy.
Oh, hey man, only the best. Only the best. Mike Greene, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. Chris Henry, once again showing Oregon major interest. Guess what? Who cares? Ohio State will be Ohio State. One kid won't stop this show. Yes, it is a bidding war. Yes, every kid is going to go visit Oregon and Miami and whoever else is, Texas A&M and whoever else has a lot of money, and they're going to go there and see what they're worth, and then they're going to, come to Ohio State, or they can go elsewhere. And again, like with a lot of these kids, and again, from the Kirk is always right category, like when these kids go elsewhere, that's on them. We will survive. If we lose Blake Miller to Clemson and the entire universe is supposed to collapse and disappear, like when Thanos snaps his fingers, somehow we still won a national championship with the tackles that we got. I never would have guessed that. I hate being right all the time about something. So if Chris Henry Jr. wants to go to Oregon and go join all of the amazing receivers that they've put into the league over the last few years, then have at it. It'll be amazing. They put the kid in that went to Denver last year. That's like, I mean, I can't even name a great Oregon wide receiver, like ever. So, I mean, if you want to go be the trailblazer, God bless you. Have a good time. If you want to come here where Brian puts like 1 or 2 in the league as a first rounder every year, then have at it. But I mean, when you see like Garrett Wilson's extension, oh my God. I mean, if T. Higgins is getting, $28 million a year, whatever he got, like what's Garrett going to get? 40 million, now that he's got a quarterback. So yeah, I mean, none of these kids visiting Oregon surprises me because I said 3 years ago, they're going to become a humongous player in the world of NIL because they have so much money. And so every kid's going to want to go there, see what their value is, and then also see like what's their Oregon value, because Oregon's going to overpay for everybody, but it didn't help them in the Rose Bowl. So we'll see. I mean, just paying blindly to every single kid that wants a bunch of money might work, might not. But there's a lot of, if that's what you're going to go chase is the money, have fun. Because again, the guys that Brian puts in the league, they're going to make that. They'll make, if you're going to offer Chris Henry another 500 grand or another, I mean, like Brian Hartline's guys, they make, when Garrett Wilson signs his deal for 35 million a year, he'll be making, I mean, like $1 million, $2 million a game, every game in the NFL. I mean, Jamar Chase is signed for 40 million. So guess what he makes? He makes, 2 point something per game. So, when you look at it like that, like, well, I can go get developed by a guy that's going to guarantee that I'm a high level NFL pick like Jeremiah Smith, who's probably going to be signing for 60 million a year when he gets his deal in the NFL, his second contract. So I don't know. But yes, I'm sure that he's visiting Oregon just like all the other guys do. And if they go, they're great. We'll survive. We lose McNutt, we lose some of these guys to Oregon. We'll survive, and they'll probably have buyer's remorse because they're not going to win anything, like ever. Nevada, your thoughts on Chris Henry visiting Oregon?
Zero. I have really good information on this and zero concern. Ryan Hartline is at Ohio State, which now with his recent promotion, no reason to believe he's going anywhere. Chris Henry will be a Buckeye. Period. End. And for all the reasons that you stated, the amount of money that you can get in while life changing and big money, et cetera, it's peanuts compared to the other prize. And I mean, Oregon just does not have the development reputation that Ohio State does, or the results. And that is a difference for a wide receiver of all positions. It's different being at Ohio State under Brian Hartline. And are you really going to toss that entire advantage away for a few $100,000? No, Chris Henry isn't stupid. He's a Buckeye, and don't have any concerns about. I don't care how many times he goes. Kind of like J.J. Smith going to Florida State 57 times, which he did.
Oh my God.
I had zero concerns about him going there. I have zero concerns about Chris Henry being a Duck. He'll be a Buckeye. Mark it down. Hold me to it.
Well, and some of these kids, I mean, I think that they get paid to go, or their handlers, or somebody gets paid to bring these kids on unofficial visits. Because like when you're JJ and you're going to somewhere, or you're if you're any of these kids, and you go to the same place over and over and over and over again, like, I mean, there's something awry there. Like, you don't just go there to say, man, I want to go see Tallahassee for the 58th time to watch them play Alcorn State, week 11 before they play the Florida Gators, whatever. So
yeah, but Kirk, think about it. I mean, like going on whatever you want to call the visit to Oregon and being treated like a king and fawned over and whatever. I mean, like, who doesn't want that? I don't care who you are. Who doesn't want to, like, your weekend? You can either sit at home and hang out and play Nintendo or whatever, or you can go and be, you can have Phil Knight say he's going to make you a shoe, and you're going to go to the best steakhouse there in Eugene, and have girls all falling all over yourselves at the parties. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to do that? So I don't begrudge these guys doing it all. I mean, this is their moment in the sun. This is their chance to do it. And Oregon, nobody does it better than Oregon, too. I mean, nobody does the official visits. I'm not saying they're better than anybody, but nobody out official visits Oregon. And it's impressive, man. The Nike facilities that they have there at Oregon, unbelievable. Absolutely. Just going to the Nike store is cool. Can you imagine going to like the Nike lab and everything that they have there? I mean, it'd be mind blowing for anybody, let alone an 18-year-old kid.
Well, I mean, if I lived in LA, sure, but like to fly from Ohio to Oregon, there's no chance. I won't want to go there in a million years. I mean, I took one visit. I was like, visits. I'm the opposite. I think the visits suck, especially if you're going to a place that you don't want to go to, or you don't really have any real shot of going to, or you're not really excited. Now, again, if they want to offer him $10 million to go there, that's different. And again, this is a different thing, and Chris Henry's a different player and everything else. But it's just like, God, man, it's like I went through one visit in my life at Ohio State, and I was good. I was like, I never want to do that again.
It's but you were a
I was a
bird,
lowly
dude.
3-star.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not saying that. You were an All-American.
Like,
you were a block of clay, but you were that typical Ohio homeboy that they slow played, and they knew that once they could offer you, that you would accept, because you would crawl over broken glass to get to Columbus, and that's what you did. And not everybody's wired that way. I mean, Chris Henry is out there at modern day now. He's on the West Coast, and fly the first class flight up there on Alaska Airlines, up there and picked up in the limousine and taken out there for the weekend. I mean, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Get that German chocolate cake waiting for you in the hotel room when you get in there. That's good eating.
I mean, like, I don't like some kids, like, that's like they can't wait to go to the next steak dinner and steakhouse, but like, I just have a problem, like if I really am not into a place, or I really don't really want to go there, because again, the way I look at it is like when these kids when these kids go on like 30 unofficial visits, and then they go to 5 official visits, I'm just like, do they really not know where they want to go, or do they just like the pomp and circumstance? Or in my main brain, I'm thinking, well, I think they're just setting up, they're setting the pathways for the transfer portal, because a lot of these kids, they'll get somewhere and they'll suck and they won't be any good, and they're gonna, well, maybe this coach at Auburn still loves me, or this coach from Purdue that's at Texas now will love me.
Well, but but you're also setting the market for Ohio State. They know that they have to be competitive, because they see that, or more than competitive, up their offer. And I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm calling it right now with little Kirky. I'm going to give him Uncle Nevada's number, and Uncle Nevada will take him around on official visits while old cuddly bear dad stays home, and I'll just be his guardian and take him around all these official visits. we'll eat German chocolate cake together and eat steak.
How many official visits did your kids go on? Did they go on 100 or they go on like 2 or 3 each?
No. You know that the chosen one knew where she wanted to go to school.
Exactly. Yeah. So when there's 700 visits, let's go. Let's see if I can get a new sandal made at Oregon or whatever. Like, no. I mean, God bless.
Hey,
like,
so I can't help it if she killed the dream. So little Kirky's gonna have to carry the dream for Uncle Nevada.
He's gonna pick like 3 schools and that's it. It ain't gonna be let's go to 700 different schools and say
he's gonna be the Willie Williams
presentation. Oh my God, kill me.
Him and I are gonna be sitting there. We're gonna be toasting with with lobster tails, putting each other's mouths, feeding each other, and just throwing them. It's gonna be awesome.
Like I don't like any of that. Like I mean, I used to hate when I was a coach. I used to hate official visits, and all I had to do is show up and eat. And sit next to Curtis Grant and all those guys.
You had one job. You had one job. Like get the kid's name right for Urban Meyer. Like, you had one job. And you blew your job.
That was like the first day of spring ball. That was like we're on like the 13-year anniversary of that, where he didn't know Ethan Posick's name.
You had one job, Kurt.
Shout out Ethan. I think still plays for the Browns. But I remember like we had Curtis Grant on his official visit. And Curtis was the number 2 player in the entire country. And I was like, there's no way we're getting this kid. But I really liked him. Nice kid. He was huge. And I remember we went to Eddie George's, which actually used to be on campus. It actually used to be a great spot on campus. Now, not great food. I don't know why we took the kids there, but it's on campus, a central campus, whatever. So we go there, man, and Curtis orders the Eddie George signature porterhouse. This is a 27-ounce steak. Ooh. And so he gets the biggest steak on the meat, which is fine. Again, it was still like maybe like $35 because it was not a very expensive.
It was 27 ounces because he was number 27. Did you know that?
No, he wasn't. Well, Eddie was.
I'm just kidding.
I thought you were talking about Curtis.
No, Eddie, man, it's a signature sandwich.
No, literally, I get that. Like there were giant Eddie George murals all over the place. It went out of business just because nobody wanted to eat and support Eddie anymore.
Because they kept fumbling. Oops.
Well, the food wasn't good. Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that food sucked, dude.
The food sucks. I mean,
the food sucked.
Because the environment was great. It was right in the middle of campus. Like for like March Madness and stuff, it was a great spot. So. Long story short, so we go through this whole thing, and Curtis orders a steak well done. I'll never forget this. And dude, it took like an hour and a half for them to cook this steak. Like everyone else is like, I'd already eaten by the time it's food, and I'm like, and I was like, did you guys forget his orders? Like, no, sir, he requested it be well done. It was a big steak, but like, I was like, great, we're gonna lose Curtis Grant because he wanted his steak well done. So all of a sudden we don't get our linebacker, but we ended up getting him, which was good. But I don't know, like official visits are just like, oh my God, they're so boring. It's just like drag around. Okay, we got to do the academics presentation, and you got to do Ohio State, if you do the right things, and Ohio State and Buckeye Nation will take care of you forever, and you always have. And I'm like, that's like part true. You have to like still work hard and not just be a jamoke. Like you can't just say, Buckeye Nation, take care of me, please. It's like, no, like you have to like provide value again, because like if you're good at something, yeah, of course they will. If you're a good business person or you learn a trade or a skill or whatever, oh yeah, I mean Buckeye Nation is the greatest in the world. But it's not like, hey, when you're done, Buckeye Nation will take care of you. It's like, no, it's not a GoFundMe. It's like you got to go like figure out something to do. And that's why we have a lot of guys that do a lot of great stuff, in Columbus. They have a lot of different careers and it's great, but like, you sit through these presentations, like, God, can we just get these kids committed and so we can start de-recruiting them and beating the tar out of them in the weight room, get them back to being humble. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like my kid's going to get about 2 or 3 and my kid is not going to have a hat ceremony. There's no chance. Unless he wants to be sound. No, you're not going to show up with your bag of 7 hats.
No, I'm gonna have like the hat, like the selection hat from like Harry Potter, and put it on. Talking about, you're a good one there. Bowling Green would be good for you.
you have like an Ohio State hat on the table. Then like there won't be a Michigan hat. And then you'll have a live Wolverine underneath the table. The kid will hold up a live Wolverine and be like shrieking on the thing.
Oh, this one be good at Slytherin. This one be good at Slytherin.
No. He doesn't get to go to Gryffindor. He's going to Slytherin. Oh my god.
No, I think your kid will be a Hufflepuff kid. I can see your kid being a Hufflepuff kid.
I think I think that my oldest probably will be my middle one will be Slytherin for sure because he is a I mean he's different now. He's like you want to talk about like who's going to be like the Brady Kachuk of the family? It's going to be him because he's the one that's ready to get in the fight at any moment.
He's Slytherin.
Oh god.
I love it.
Jumping the shark. Thugly TV, thank you for the deuce. Did we get any jersey numbers? I saw Brandon Innes has got one. Yeah, Jermaine Matthews went from 24 to 7, which is significant because again, these guys all want single digits, man, and like there are always strings attached to the single digits because everybody wants them. So you got to do right. You got to do the main deal. Arval Reese, who used to be 20, is now number 8. Bryson Rogers, who was 13, went to 21, and Max LeBlanc, who was 86, is now 88, which freed up 86 for Max Clare. Some other notable numbers: Devon Sanchez got 4. So again, like when you're a true freshman and you start off in a single digit, like that's a something, you know. So Devon, I'm sure, like when he was getting recruited, requested 4 and wanted 4. So I'm sure Ryan Day blocked it for him from the equipment guys. If any of these upperclassmen wanted 4 and then Devon didn't get it, it would have been not great. Philip Bell got 7. Tavian got 9. Tavian St. Clair. Quincy Porter got 11. Again, a lot of these guys that want 1 get stuck in 11. Fahim Deline, another guy, got 10. So if you don't get a single digit, the next best I think is a teen, like at 11 or a 13. Zion Grady got 15. See, the aforementioned CJ Donaldson got 12. TJ Alford got 17. So you see a lot of these 5-star guys, they get the teen numbers because that's close to a single digit. And then, you know, when the guys graduate, or, you know, Sonny Styles, like one of the interesting is if 6 opens up, if Sonny becomes the block O, because that could easily happen where you can see a switch there and someone takes 6. If Sonny or when Sonny becomes the block O for Ohio State. BP Miller from right up the road got 18. Bo Jackson got 25. I'm not gonna read all these. And then our big guys, Ethan Oniano got his 78 from Rice, which is great. Carter Lowe got 74, so I'm rocking my my Carter Lowe fandom. Logan George, the transfer defensive end, got 48, which is, I don't know if that's the worst number. 49 might be worse, but it's got to be in the top tier. I mean, 48 is about the last pick of the entire number draft. Max Clare got 86, and Philip Dano's got 70. Okay, I'm done with the numbers. And Jarquez Carter got 91. So all you guys that are the number aficionados, or you play, you know, Dynasty mode or whatever on NCAA, there are your updated numbers. Nevada, do you think you would earn a single digit, or would they put you in 48?
I think I'd be like 49 and a half or something like that. Or I'd be one of those triple digit numbers
60,
or something.
62.
Yeah, or something
the
bad.
Duplicate. There's no easier way for them to tell you where you stand on the roster when they issue the same number to 3 players and they're all in like 48 or something. Like that's when you know where you're at on the deal. All right, Mike Greene, thank you for the 5. JJ makes the most in NIL and endorsements, right, Kirk? Tampering smells like the new scum out west. The bomb will drop. Laugh out loud. I would be shocked if there's any player on Ohio State that makes more money than JJ. JJ is also now going to be on the cover of the NCAA video game for 2026. I mean, you know, after the season he had, obviously he got a raise. Nobody's touching JJ right now, not on this roster. And again, nationally, I don't know for this year, but I don't know how you could pay someone more than JJ unless you just hate money. And JJ, frankly, is worth every penny. But your thoughts, Nevada? Do you believe that JJ makes the most in NIL and endorsements? I mean, I can't imagine there's anybody higher on the team. I know there's nobody higher on Ohio State, but what about nationally?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be, kind of the face of college football. I mean, probably one of the most recognizable names. Certainly by the time he leaves, he will be. And so I think that's the kind of guy that you want to have on the video game. Not like the fat running back they had from Michigan, and with his 5 touchdowns and 45 yards rushing or whatever the heck he had for the season. So yeah, no, JJ. I mean, JJ's a phenomenal. I have never seen anything quite like JJ. I don't think any of us have ever seen anything quite like JJ. We were hyping him up pretty much full time last year and in this time, and he kind of exceeded everybody's expectations. And I think he's the best player in college football right now. I think he could start on NFL teams right now, and the fact that we have him for 2 more years is a treat. So yeah, he's a worthy. I don't mind seeing people get paid for excellence, and he's all about excellence, and so he deserves every penny he gets.
And Ohio State has hired another coach. Billy Yates is now officially on staff. He was walking around at practice today. I recognized him. I was kind of surprised. I was like, that looks like it could be another Matt Patricia hire, but he's going to be a defensive quality control coach working for Matt Patricia. He played in the NFL kind of around my area. He's a little bit older than me, but he was in the NFL from 03 to 10, so about 4 years older. Worked at Bowling Green recently, and he was a free agent, so he's been added to the staff to be a defensive QC. I would bet that he's going to work with the D line. So Billy Yates, another addition to the staff, along with Toby Wilson. Toby Wilson looks like he's going to be a graduate assistant, so they're rolling deep in the Woody, man. I mean, we used to have 4 GAs and like maybe one quality control coach. Now it's like they've got like 10 quality control coaches, and I think they still have the 4 GAs, but I'm not sure. It'll be fascinating. Nevada, your thoughts on the staff? Because again, this thing is getting swollen, which is good. Again, I like having, if you've got the money for it and you can build that bullpen up, you should do it. And Ryan's on that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, just it's going to be a selling point. It's going to be a recruiting point, like we talked about teacher to student ratio. It's going to be coach to player ratio, and Ohio State is certainly taking a leadership position in this, taking advantage of the unlimited coaching and the amount of money that's going through the program. So I think Ryan's doing another really really smart thing here, and I applaud him for that.
Yeah, and it's good to get on a staff where there's a bunch of coaches that could potentially pop and take you elsewhere. So again, like if you're some of these guys like Billy Yates or Marcus Johnson, Dickey from Oklahoma State, like if you're with, if you're at a place where you have all of these guys that will be head coaches one day, like Brian Hartline. I'm not sure if Matt Patricia will get another turn, but he'll surely be back in the NFL as a defensive coordinator within a couple years. I think that you'll see a lot of these guys, they go with them. Like, all these guys that are like kind of these ancillary coaches, they're all auditioning for the coordinators and for the position coaches to potentially help fill out their staffs when they become head coaches. So again, like Brian Hartline at some point will become a head coach. I don't think he'll wait around to succeed Ryan. Could if he wants to, but I think at some point he's going to go run his own program and sit in the big chair and kind of train and audition for potentially becoming the next Ohio State coach. Because there's going to be, now again, Ryan's very young and Ryan's very ambitious, and he wants to win multiple championships at Ohio State, which is great. But if he ever would go to the National Football League because an NFL owner makes him some crazy offer, then there's going to be a lot of jockeying between former players and national names to be the next head coach here, which again, I don't think that's going to happen for a while, but again, you never know. Like, I mean, if some owner becomes infatuated with Ryan Day's quarterback development, they could throw a huge bag at him. So again, and Ryan, at this point with winning the national championship, I mean, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame coach, which is crazy as young as he is, but he will be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Pretty easy vote there with winning the national championship and what he's done production wise. But, when you see all these guys, when they're looking around at, should I take a full-time job or should I become an analyst at Ohio State? Well, it's like, well, a lot of these coaches are on the verge of potentially being head coaches. And there's a lot of this staff, as young as it is and as energetic and all that, like there's a lot of guys that are going to be head coaches that are on the staff, in my opinion. So again, it's a good place to audition, see what you can do. I think that's it for super chats. Let's see. What number did James Peoples get? I'm sorry, I believe he got 20. So he's got the same as last year. He didn't change his number. So he's still the same old G. So I appreciate that. Thugly TV, thanks for the deuce. Nevada, wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
Not just exciting first day. I mean, most first days aren't as exciting as this one, but it just I'm just so glad that football's back. I'm so glad that we're going to start getting some questions answered on that, and I'm so glad that you shared the great C.J. Donaldson clip with us. That will live forever in my mind as great clip, much like our Buckeye Scoop brewed coffee. So if you like coffee and you like great C.J. Donaldson clips, you like enjoy them together. BuckeyeScoopBrew.com. Check it out. Support Pay It Forward. All proceeds go to Pay It Forward. If you like coffee, help us out. We've been overwhelmed with orders, and just appreciate everybody ordering up some coffee. BuckeyeScoopBrew.com. Take care.
Officialvisits.com. As many as
Official
possible.
Hufflepuff.com.
Load up the RV and get it rolling up and down the Pacific Coast Highway. It'd be a great time. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Again, I appreciate you guys kicking it with us each and every night. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. And I appreciate all that you guys do to make this show incredible. Again, if you guys want to help us out in a huge way, please give us a follow on Apple Podcasts. We are growing that platform rapidly. All of you iPhone users, that's you. Click on the podcast app, type in Buckeye Scoop, click subscribe. Easy way to help us. Leave us a 5-star review. Help people find the show that has been taking over the world. So with that being said, I hope you guys had a great time tonight. I appreciate you guys so very much. So with that being said, as always, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.